behind it.
So what's the general layout of the console? If you would run us through, what do we got over
exactly.
here?
So we've got, I mean, it's a lot of stuff in there. So we've got eight mic pre's, and these are Transformers of 1073 style mic amps. So you can use them on anything. There's different tastes, but no one ever really dislikes these kind of things.
Sure.
And so even just having those inside a console's a big deal. Saves on outboard, saves on recall, whatever.
Well, ideally, if that was rack, that's what, $3,000 per strip.
Exactly.
Or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
right
I mean, when you start adding the stuff up, this is where but it's not. You see the figure for the console, and everybody falls over on the floor, perspiring. But then when you start adding the blocks up, it makes a lot of sense. So you've got 8 mic pre's, you've got 8 EQs and 8 dynamics. So the EQs, there's a choice. You can have the 1084, which is a classic sort of inductor 3-band sort of musical EQ, or this one has the 88R style in there. So you've got 4 bands, a bit more modern sounding, very versatile EQ.
So you could order one with 4 of each.
It's 8s, it splits between 8s. But yeah,
sure.
That's right. Some people with the console split them and whatever, so have some of each.
So this is expandable too. You're not just stuck at the 8 channels.
That's right.
You could get, what's the max of channel count you could get on one of these?
The maximum on a traditional Genesis is 64. With this, I think, the way this works, it's going to be slightly different. But you certainly got it's the same profile and everything as the Genesis, so you absolutely have the possibility to extend. It's just a question of metalwork and layouts and stuff. But
this is cool.
Yeah. So you're not going to be limited to this.
That's really cool with the LEDs that open up as you twist it.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
But you'll see it's still step gain because it's a Neve preamp, so it's not a continuous controller. You'll see the steps behind it. That's not like a resolution thing. That's literally because it's software control of the analog kit, and with a Neve preamp, and it goes clunk 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 when you turn it around. So it is the same thing. It's just software switching.
Well, and that's going to make recalls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially on the EQ and dynamics.
So the EQs are not under?
No, the EQs you can control from the center section.
Oh, okay.
So this is one of those things that at first, it takes a few minutes to get the sort of hands moving and it's a new sort of console. I mean, digital consoles worked that way for a long time, but you're controlling the analog EQs that are in there.
Digitally controlled hardware EQs.
Exactly.
They're not digital EQs like plugins.
Absolutely not. No. When you pull them out and compare it to one of the old modules, you'll see the same components inside the inductors. The same. So, but of course, what the killer is, then that means it's completely resettable. So you've got 8 EQs then, and 8. It's not 8. Like I've got console and the EQs sound okay, and if I can't be bothered to patch in my outboard, I use these. These are 8. 1084s.
What is not recallable on this board?
So everything's recallable.
Everything, even the sends.
That's right. The only there's 2 distinctions though. So things like the faders, anything that's a switch is immediate.
Those are motorized faders.
That's a problem. Yeah, absolutely.
How are you recording that automation data? Are you just doing it as controlled by Pro Tools, or is this
exactly?
Separate?
This is the whole concept here. So traditionally, you'd have the automation like Encore or whatever, flying faders that run on the console, and then you've got your DAW, and then it's a hassle keeping track of everything. For this one, we've stripped the automation off that, so that you've got. And this is the killer really. So with the EQs, dynamics, fader positions, levels, everything all recordable. So you've got a big fader and a small fader here. So in this one you're mixing 16 channels, but a lot of people will leave those at Unity and then use the whole thing as a DAW controller. So here, here I've got DAW faders. These are console faders, or I can just make the whole lot the DAW faders. So you can still sum everything through here. You can still use the EQ and dynamics and whatever, but you can keep all your automation inside Pro Tools. So other than the recall file, there's nothing to worry about matching automation, editing automation separately. You can take that session away and stick headphones on and do whatever, and bring it back here and still play it out and modify it on the console. So you're not tied to console automation and DAW automation.
What about using them as hardware inserts while you're mixing?
Exactly. This is the other thing, which is interesting, because you've got 2 inserts, EQ and dynamics, and in this section you've got 16 in and 16 out. So to change the processing order and stuff like that, you've got a screen here.
Nice.
So if I want everything on the channel fader,
that is so cool. Again, that is like the best feature of the board.
But it's exactly like you said. If you want to use this as basically like a sort of routing matrix, patch bay, inserts, EQ and dynamics as effects, then you can do that. You don't need to necessarily touch the console faders. You can use this part as a DAW controller controlling your session. You've got your signal coming in and out of there. You've got your zero latency headphone monitoring, obviously, the mic preamps, really cool monitor section, effects returns, buses for processing different things. You've got a parallel insert as well as the main mix insert, so you can blend compression.
Okay, so if I want to use these just as a DAW control, I'm going to do all my volume automation inside Pro Tools.
Exactly.
Where do they come out? You said they're using this section. So if I'm going to sum using this, where is it actually in the signal flow? Where is it popping in?
Good question. So, and again, this is set up in a very simple way. So basic. So you just got your output. We've got 16 outputs here routed, which are going 8 to the big fader, 8 to the small fader. So they're coming into the channel, and I can choose where I want processing and whatever. So this is at the end of the chain, so it's post the fader automation here.
So where in the line is it? Or no, that's your EQ, this is your dynamics, or is it not even up here?
That's right, yeah. So we've got a Pro Tools session here. We've got a load of outputs there coming in and coming through the console. So in a traditional way. So
this is like if you're doing tape return.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. In fact, it's marked tape return. The sockets there.
Okay.
So there's 2 per channel. There's 2 to give you the big fader.
Because that sounds like. So you've got your 2 modes, which would essentially be like tracking board and mixing board.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty genius.
That's it. I mean, it's simple. It's actually simple. Most people overthink it and get bogged down in signal throw. It's actually simpler than you think.
Especially because it's configurable right there.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's all in one unit. So
that's so great.
What's the damage for a sort of?
That's an excellent question, and this is something I really need to find out from Vintage Key. Again, this is the first one.
Well, ballpark it. I mean, if we're looking in the somewhat range, it's a good way to start. You know what I mean? We don't you need to pin it down for me.
That's a tricky one. I genuinely don't know.
Is this still a beta version, or is it?
No, it's just that this is the first. And so
it's the first. It's still it's still okay.
Yeah.
So what if I wanted an MTI Raven right there, a 22-inch slate MTI Raven? Could we do that?
That'd be an interesting conversation.
I mean, how difficult? Because that's just a touchscreen monitor, right? So really.
That's right. I mean, we did a few things to the software on this on the back end. So because like Mac OS 10 doesn't have any gesture support in it, the phones and the tablets do, but the actual OS doesn't. But yet with this, if I open a plugin or something, I'm looking at here, well, you can do all this kind of stuff. I don't know this particularly well.
But if you know the gestures.
That's right. But there's a few hoops that had to be jumped through to make that happen. So if you bought this monitor off the standalone and put that in, you wouldn't be able to do this stuff with it. Or you can just should just tap like that. Is it 2 taps? Yeah. And some controls much nicer with this. So I don't know if you ever use like a Mackie controller or a Huey controller. Trying to edit plugins on that, it's a non-starter. Whereas this, I mean, it's easiest when you start on the controls and you can sort of dial it in. That's it. So, but yeah, that's actually there's certain things it lends itself to, and this is actually. Not a bad way of working. I mean, the main thing is that, selecting audio and moving around your session and stuff like that is so much nicer. I can't think of a quicker way to select a block of audio than that.
It's pretty freaking fantastic.
There's some things where that's the right way to do it.
Can you get that in here and there and there?
There's no reason why not. I mean, these are just some people have a screen switcher, but
that'd be smart. Screen switcher.
That's it.
Are you just thinking because you want to have your Pro Tools session off to the side, like a
sidecar? Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, and that comes into sort of studio infrastructure stuff,
So then it is like just the mixer itself and the DAWs,
Yeah. Well, a lot of people work that way.
Yeah. I think like if I was working, I would work that way.
I don't know. I'll tell you what. Having it right there with all of this like this, I bet you it's because then you never look up. I mean, if your glass window's right here, now your attention's not over your left shoulder the whole time looking at Pro Tools session, or you're right here only on the monitors. Yeah, this is straight up Battlestar right here. You got your little like sci-fi. This is amazing. And really, if you think about it, it's like if the use of your console isn't a tracking console, if you're primarily a mixer. then this is all the board you really need. Maybe
Exactly.
you can get an expansion or something so you can get more returns, like 32 returns, but if you
Absolutely,
still only
yeah,
need 8 mic inputs or whatever, but if you're going to be tracking bands, you can get 16 channels of these, which would be spectacular in anybody's room.
Again, even, I mean, you know, other people use, you know, that it doesn't. Some people like the sound of other mic preamps, dare I say,
Sure.
you know. So because you've got the 16 ins here, you can put those on the small fader and still send them out to the DAW. So you could track 16 wide even with this 8 strip here. So there's nothing to stop you if you've got a record, you know, EPI or something like that, like an American sound.
Yeah,
You know, why not? You know.
What about options on top of what we're seeing here? Other than just more channels, what kind of options are there?
So there's the 2 EQ types we talked about, 88R or the 1084. Also, we do a board, AD and DA converter board that goes inside the console, which again, you know, for this scenario of not having absolute chaos everywhere in a small studio, then you know, again, everybody seems to like the Neve converters. Been doing that a long time, yeah. So
how much is that option?
an excellent question as well.
I
I genuinely don't know. I could guess at a pound price.
How many inputs is the converter?
Up to 64 in and out.
Oh, it's
so
MADI.
depending. Firewire, MADI, or AES.
Okay.
Yeah. So it covers most.
So that would be the other real question. So the average person has already built up all their digital side of the studio because that's just where we're at nowadays.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to step up from my, say, Avid Artist series, and I'm going to jump into this bad boy. How easy am I basically tearing my entire studio down and I'm jumping now on like on a full scale rebuild?
It's actually pretty self-install. I mean, it's deconnectors. Like there's a, you know, with the HDIO, whatever it is there, and you know, we just put some deconnectors in. You get 8 channels at a time in and out. It's
Especially for
deconnectors in the
using
back.
your converters.
Straight away. Oh, for our converters, it's the same pin out. You know, so it's deconnectors. You can get patch bays off the shelf for that sort of stuff. It's not a big deal.
Could we get a patch bay in the console? Like on the custom 75?
Yeah.
You can kind of do stuff like that?
With this one, you know,
Maybe
possible, but I wouldn't like to promise anything. Now. You know, the idea is it's
pretty sleek.
fairly fixed with a bit of expandability possible.
Can you add more pre's?
Yeah, that's
how,
right.
How many?
It's in 8s.
In 8s,
So
okay.
a box of 8. So again, you know, because studios can change direction over time, you know, and you can find that, you know, if you hit upon a great room, you know, that you know, everybody loves tracking room and stuff, then you can do a lot more of that.
How much is a bank of 8?
It's all
It's between them and VK.
well,
okay.
those.
Okay.